This is Ringler Radio, where you get all the latest news and information about settlement solutions, litigation, mediation, and structured financial security from Ringler, the largest and most experienced company of settlement consultants in the United States. Ringler has been helping injured people and their families since 1975. Ringler Radio is made possible in part by American General, Liberty Mutual, MetLife, Mutual of Omaha, New York Life, Pacific Life, and Prudential. Now join Ringler Radio host Larry Cohen.
Well, hello and welcome to Ringler Radio, everyone. I'm your host, Larry Cohen, and we're certainly glad you could join us again today. Well, technology has changed just about every aspect of our lives, including the practice of law. We've witnessed more and more technology infiltrate the courtroom. And today on Ringler Radio, we're going to take a look at how technology is being utilized to help in alternative dispute resolution and how its continued use can improve the ADR process. And joining me as co-host today is my friend and Ringler colleague, Cindy Chanley. Cindy manages Ringler's Louisville and Southern Indiana offices, where she also markets, quotes, and designs structured settlement plans that meet the unique needs of injured parties. And of course, Cindy has been a long-term member and a very effective one of Ringler's board of directors. So with that, welcome to Ringler Radio, Cindy. Glad to have you here as my co-host.
Thanks, Larry.
And our guest today is the Honorable Elizabeth Bonina, a retired justice of the Supreme Court, Kings County, New York. She's now one of the neutrals at National Arbitration and Mediation, better known as NAM. Elizabeth is available to hear arbitrations and mediations throughout the New York metro area. So with that, welcome to the show, Judge Bonina. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me today, Larry and Cindy.
Terrific. Well, Judge, thanks for joining us. Let's begin by talking about your background and how you came to serve in your current role as a neutral for NAM. How'd you do that?
Well, after serving on the bench for a total of 16 years, I've been at NAM for the past 12 years, and I'll tell you, it is wonderful here at NAM. We do so much great work in terms of either settling cases or hearing cases through the arbitration aspect of our company.
Hey, so I got an opportunity over the weekend to read your article that you wrote, The Power of Technology and Its Role in the Alternative Dispute Resolution Arena, and I really enjoyed it, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
In the article, you mentioned that you've seen the role technology-based evidence changes in the day of the life videos, but what are you currently seeing? What else are you currently seeing in mediation or arbitration?
Well, it's interesting, Cindy, because what often happens in the courtroom is mirrored in the ADR process. So whether it is a day in the life video showing how an injured party's life has changed as a result of a particular accident or tragedy that's come upon them. We also see PowerPoint presentations, the use of Google Maps, biomechanical engineers testifying in arbitration proceedings. You name it, we've seen it. Dash cam videos, surveillance videos. So it's really fascinating how we've seen technology really infiltrate the whole alternative dispute resolution process here at NAM.
No question about it. And I also understand your preference is for parties to submit documentation electronically. So what are the benefits of that? I mean, other than saving on paper and the environment, what are you looking for to have electronic documentation rather than the normal paper documentation?
Well, Larry, first of all, I'm so glad that you mentioned that we're going to save some trees and save the environment by accepting electronic submissions. That certainly is a great aspect of electronic submissions. But even more than that, for the legal profession, it saves time. It saves the time of the paralegals who are preparing paper and photocopying things and printing things. But it also saves money because when I look at a submission that is clearly 3 or 4 reams of paper and it was FedExed to me, and I know some paralegals spend hours on it as opposed to composing an email and clicking on, a number of files to attach to it, and it can be done in 10 minutes. Well, we've just saved, law firms and insurance carriers time. We've saved them money. So I think it's a great thing. And not only that, but it also allows the neutral, whether it's myself or someone else here on the NAM panel, because we're able to prep our cases, the night before the hearing. We don't have to wait till we come into NAM to prep our cases and receive our papers. We have our papers, as soon as they're sent to us, and we can prep well in advance of a hearing or of a mediation.
Yeah, no question. That's truly a benefit.
Absolutely.
As we all know, Judge, experts or witnesses a lot of times can't be physically present at an arbitration or a mediation. In our world, a lot of times it's the adjuster on a case for a lot of different reasons. How does technology change all of that from your perspective?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Cindy. Video conferencing can allow, whether it's a party or a non-party witness or an adjuster, to be present at a hearing, whether it's a mediation or an arbitration, remotely. That saves, for example, if it's an adjuster, it saves the insurance carrier time. It saves them money. It saves them from having to send an adjuster if they're out of town by air. So we're saving airfare, we're saving hotel costs, other travel expenses. And if it's a party or a non-party witness who's out of town, it saves them the hassle and the expense of having to fly in for what might otherwise be an hour-long arbitration. So we can really save everybody, again, time and money. And NAM has many remote private conference rooms that we can use, and I think NAM has been a leader in that technological innovation.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I really wish they had that here. I know in a lot of mediations I go to, sometimes they have to hurry up the mediation because the adjuster has a flight at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
The video conferencing would be able to allow all the parties a little bit more time to try to get the case settled. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, one of the things that's often mentioned about why it's important sometimes to have people present is that there's a chance to get a personal interaction with the claimant or with some party that may be good for them to interact with. But what I find today, Judge, is more and more these joint sessions in the beginning where people used to meet like that are not as prevalent today. I mean, a lot of mediations are beginning with parties already separated in separate rooms. Isn't that right?
It does sometimes happen that way, but I happen to think that it's best to start with everybody in the same room and let everybody get a feel for each other first before we break everybody out into separate rooms.
I happen to concur with that, but I guess my point is that if the adjuster is off-site, sometimes you lose that ability to size somebody up across the table, which is one of the reasons why I think that's going to be an interesting transition if we're going to have one like that. So that's just an interesting point for us to think about for another show. We might have some time later.
So, Judge, you've presided over countless settlement proceedings. Can you give us a real life example of how technology has proved beneficial in arbitration and mediation?
Oh, absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that question. It's maybe a couple of years ago, I had a very interesting case where the plaintiff's counsel brought in essentially disposable tablets during a mediation. They were inexpensive tablets that they had loaded with their PowerPoint presentation, and we had the PowerPoint during the initial session where everyone was together, the initial presentations at the mediation. But then when we broke out into separate rooms, the adjusters and the defense counsel were able to take the tablets with them into their breakout room and review the PowerPoint presentation on the tablets that were provided to them by plaintiff's counsel. And that really made an impression on the defense and on the adjusters because it was clear that, number one, plaintiff's counsel was prepared for trial, and number two, it was obvious that they were going to spend whatever money they needed to try their best case and invest that money. So they really show that they were serious, and it was such a unique experience because we were able to go back over the PowerPoints during the breakout session with the defense, and I think that was really helpful.
Well, that's very interesting. So let's take a quick break right now, but we'll be back in a minute right here on Ringler Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Ringler Radio, brought to you from Ringler, the nation's leading provider of fair settlement solutions. Did you know that Ringler is involved in a third of all structured settlement cases in the country? Ringler advisors work with all the parties in a lawsuit settlement to find the best possible financial solution for the people involved. Everybody wins. There's a Ringler consultant in all the major cities of the U.S. No one has more experienced experts in the settlement business than Ringler. Check out our website at www.ringlerassociates.com for the best information for injured parties, attorneys, and claims professionals to find the Ringler advisor nearest you. When it's your interests at stake in a lawsuit settlement, you want only the best, most objective financial plan. You can count on Ringler advisors to create a customized plan that meets the financial needs of you and your family for the future. Visit ringlerassociates.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Ringler Radio. Glad you could join us. I'm your host, Larry Cohen, along with my co-host, Cindy Chanley, and our special guest, Judge Elizabeth Bonina, a retired justice of the New York State Supreme Court and now a neutral for NAM. So, Judge, what would be your message to lawyers out there who are contemplating the use of technology in the alternative dispute resolution arena, but maybe a little reluctant, maybe they're not that measured in the whole new technology arena? What's your advice?
Well, first, my advice is to embrace the technology and not to be afraid of it. Courts are all over the country requiring electronic submissions, and ADR is no different. Not that we're requiring it here at NAM, but we're embracing it. And we hope that the attorneys and lawyers out there will also embrace technology and not be afraid of it, because it can help them save time and save money and efficiency in their offices. If the attorneys and lawyers out there are unaware, NAM has their own app called the My ADR app that's available on smartphones, and it's also available just online. And the app actually provides for a demo. You can click on schedule a My ADR demo today, and our technology department can come in, and our customer service department can come in and assist law firms in using that app.
Judge, often at mediations, I know how I do. When I go into a mediation, I say, well, is this the first or the second mediation? Because I find more and more that cases don't settle at the first mediation. So how can electronics or media or something help out in a situation like that, where you have parties from all over the country that are being involved in the mediation, and maybe they want to get back together, but they don't want to go to the expense of it? Talk about that a little bit.
That's a great question, Cindy. One of the ways we can do that is through the My ADR app. We can schedule cases, we can monitor cases, you can view the latest decisions on the app. But certainly another way is simply through the use of, going back to something that's kind of a basic area of technology, which is email. We can go back to email and work out and say, let's try to do this over the telephone, let's try to do this over email, and see what we can do so we don't have to fly everybody in from across the country, or see if we can do something using some video conferencing technology.
That's true. And Cindy, you're absolutely right. I notice a lot of times the day, it kind of coincides with what you said before. The day gets to an end, the adjuster has to leave on a plane, and the case isn't quite resolved. And I find oftentimes mediators, like the judge, will follow up after we leave, and keep in communication. And there's no question that technology is certainly going to help in that realm as well. Well, with that, Judge,
Definitely.
Exactly. With that, Judge, if someone wanted to reach you or get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Okay, they could do it through a number of ways. They could do it through the NAM's website at namadr.com, through the MyADR app, which you can link to through the website, and also our NAM's telephone number is 800-358-2550.
Terrific. And Cindy, if someone wanted to contact you, how would they do that?
Sure. If they want to call me, my number's 502-569-9339. You can also find me on ringlerassociates.com, where you can find all of our associates around the country.
And Cindy, that's so correct. That's so true. The ringlerassociates.com website is terrific. It's got a lot of great information, not only about Ringler Associates, where you can locate them, but also just on subject matter in the structured settlement and legal arena that I think anyone can benefit from if you go to it. It's really kind of a cool site. And, of course, you can also on that website find all the Ringler radio shows that we've done, hundreds of them over the years. And you can also find these radio shows on ringlerradio.com, legaltalknetwork.com, or you can go to iTunes, where you can download at your leisure and then sit back and listen to Judge Bonina and us talk about electronic technology in mediation. So with that, Judge, thanks for being a great guest today.
Thank you so much.
Terrific. And Cindy, once again, always a pleasure having you as co-host.
Thanks, Larry.
Terrific. And for all the rest of you out there, go have a great day. Bye-bye.
The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer. Thanks for listening to Ringler Radio, celebrating more than a decade of podcasting and over 2 million listeners. Think of Ringler, the objective settlement advisors with more than 140 consultants in 60 cities nationwide. Visit ringlerassociates.com today.